Now. Okay, you can hear me. Okay. Excuse me. So I got one viewer already. Who is that? Let me know in the chat, in the live chat there, who you are. Two viewers. Who's there, folks? Let me know who you are in the live chat. So, did you guys see in my Instagram? I think I put it there. I made jerky yesterday, and I've already eaten like half of it. What's it? Tyler Rodriguez. Hi, buddy. I made this jerky yesterday. Well, the day before and yesterday. I marinated overnight. And yesterday I was kind of disappointed because there's not too much flavor in it. Like, you know, I mean, you guys know jerky, right? Big hit of smoky flavor. But it's actually pretty good. Like, the next day, like, I don't know, maybe the flavors have had time to sort of settle in or something. Anthony Henry, hi, man. So, did either of you get a notice on YouTube that I was doing this live stream tonight? I gotta take my specs off for this. Because what I did was I scheduled it this morning. I got up, I went to YouTube, and I checked off the, you know, the schedule checkbox. And oh, Tyler, you did? Okay, good, because I didn't get one. And my buddy Eric, Jaegerheim Farms, he didn't get one either. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why, like, he didn't get one. I do like jerky, I gotta tell you. That's not even like a guilty pleasure. I just straight up love me some jerky. Anyways, I got a couple of things to do tonight. And I figured I could use some company while I did them. I'm gonna put another coat of boiled linseed on this axe that you guys watched me make or restore. Also, one thing maybe you didn't see. Well, you probably saw it on my Instagram, was this hammer that I restored for my mother-in-law. It's an old Stanley. Let me get some light on that. You know, the touch mark isn't really all that visible, but it's there. I want to keep this. I gotta be straight with you guys. I want to keep it. Yes, Anthony, it's beef jerky. I don't have any venison. I haven't been hunting in like 3 years. It's a time and a money thing. Because I think that the best meats for jerky are game meats like moose or venison. I've tried it with caribou. I think it would probably be pretty good with horse. I live in a province where horse meat is legal. So a lot of the issues that surround horse meat in my hunting license here in Quebec is about $48 for now. That'll get you one male deer. You can enter. There's a lottery that they have, which I enter every year. That'll get you a female deer. Now, if your name comes up, you get the female deer, and you can take a male deer. But they don't give many of those licenses out. I enter every year. Excuse me, my name hasn't come up yet. How is it down where you live, Tyler? Yeah. I know. Also, because wild turkeys are a yeah, that's the thing. It's a management thing. It's a management thing. Interestingly, here in Quebec, you're allowed to bait. Like what we do is we sort of sit behind a blind and put a big pile of carrots or or whatever. And hi, good Mike. How's it going, man? And like so, here in Quebec, you're allowed to bait. You're allowed to have a bait pile. We use carrots. In Alberta, for instance, I know you ain't allowed to bait. You either got to still hunt or just sit there and hope for the best, like sit over like a bean field or something. Yeah, Anthony, we're not overrun here. The whole thing is to keep the population from crashing. For the same reason, I was about to say for wild turkeys, your bag limit per year is one bird. It's a very recent species here. There aren't a lot of them. And wow, Tyler spends $25 for a buck tag. Well, yeah, even if I was to change that into Canadian dollars, that's still better than the 50 I put out. There is one part of Quebec where your tag will get you 2 deer. And, hold on. That's on Anticosti Island. Anticosti Island was an island in the St. Lawrence River, and 100 years or more ago, the island was bought by a very rich dude who wanted to have a game farm. So he populated it with deer. Now on Anticosti, there's a lot of deer, so you can have 2, but they're also small. So it's like small deer and lots of deer equal, you can have 2. If you get a female tag, I guess you can have 3 or something. Tyler, the amount I would pay to go hunting in another country, well, I don't know. What are the non-resident tags like down where you are? Yeah, Anthony, yeah. You can't beat deer meat, right? Hike with Mike. I don't know if we have any wild boar up here at all. And unlike you guys, turkey, there's not a lot. I've gone moose hunting. It was an epically expensive disaster. We got nothing. I've gone 2 times and I'm never going again. Because to get to moose country in Quebec, I have to drive 8 hours to Gaspésie. Well, there are moose elsewhere, but Gaspésie is where we have rights to a piece of land. So even just in gas, it's like going moose hunting ends up costing me like $1,200, and I have not yet come home with an animal, so I'm not going anymore. Last time we had to leave early because one of the guys we were with, well, the guy we were with, there were 3 of us, he fell off an ATV and busted his knee. Okay. Alright, I'm done with my jerky. Seriously, I've eaten like half of it. I only made it yesterday. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna go. I'd like to go hunting this year, but it got really complex because the land where we're supposed to go, or the land where we tend to go, the woman is trying to sell it. The friend with whom we had the agreement died, unfortunately, and his widow is trying to sort of move on, get rid of the land and move elsewhere, because now she's alone in a huge house on a big ass piece of land. And she wants to, yeah, she wants to get a little apartment and live in something that's not a cavernous, gaping hole. Wild boar hunting is year round, eh? DNR sells it as a prerequisite to hunt, but do the deer get big up here? Yeah, they get pretty big. Depending on where, I'm trying to remember. Well, I don't know what big really is. Like, I guess a lot of the deer we've seen are, around maybe 400 pounds, maybe 5. I mean, there's not like I've seen some that are huge, and some that are actually pretty small, even though they're grown up. So I'm not sure what the I don't know. Yeah, I know your reptiles are bigger. I've seen some of those on the TV. I have never, or like at the zoo, but I am happy to say I've never had a run-in with they're alligators down there, right? They're not crocodiles. I'm gonna go and put this down to dry. Oh, here's something you guys didn't see. You remember the in the Axery store, I kept blasting that really ancient bog oak apart? There you go. I finally found a use for it. I really want to, I don't know, maybe my technique is just off or something, but I really want to get that bog oak working in an axe wedge, because it just looks so mint. It's so nice. I love the contrast, Crocs are in the Crocs are in the Everglades only. Gators the rest of the state. Really? Okay. Anthony, I don't know, because I'm not a big fisher. Here's the problem. I got some weird fish allergies. I once had a piece of shark that put me in the hospital, which is not the way most people who have a run-in with shark go to the hospital, I realize. But yeah, turns out I've got an allergy to des poissons gras, fatty fish, oily, salmon, stuff like that. Strangely not tuna though, so it might not be like all fatty fish. But because of that, I fear the fish. I don't go fishing because I never know what I can have and what I can't. So I don't know what like our biggest fish is. I know you can get a lot of lake trout. I know guys who go, they get lake trout all the time, Obviously there's a lot of salmon. My girls went ice fishing and got something, I don't remember what it was called. And of course I don't know what it was called in English, because I speak in English with you guys. But that is not necessarily, well, I speak English a lot with my daughter, but my wife is Francophone. So when they go and do something, the words I end up learning for whatever they went to do are not the English words. There's a whole bunch of trees in this province that I have no idea what they're called in English. Like, you remember that, my video about chopping up a little wood and prepping for the great outdoors? That tree that, like the poofy stuff that I showed you guys, I still have no idea what that thing is called in English. I'm just going to go wash my hands and throw my BLO rag in some water. A shellfish allergy can be really bad news. I I also know a guy who's tall and huge and allergic to, I think, pretty much all shellfish and iodine. That's an interesting one, right? But apparently a lot of people who are allergic to shellfish are allergic to iodine. So I don't know. What I got here is, earlier today I chopped up some cherry for making spoons with. But I didn't have any bags to throw it into to put it in the freezer. So what I did was I threw it into a big bin of water and ran out and bought some. Now, I've never soaked wood before that I'm planning to use for carving. So I'm assuming that before freezing I should towel it off. So that's what I'm doing. I took the bark off, toweled it off. This wood is so fresh that when I took the bark off, it left my hands wet. So I often freeze wood that I'm not going to carve right away, just to keep it, from drying out on me. I do love cherry. I don't ever get to carve with it. I've carved one spoon out of cherry. I don't like using apple. I find it smells like rotting apples. I found that I've only ever had one apple log, and I found it was really tough on my hands. It was tough on my tools. I don't know. Like, do any of you guys carve? Is there a lot of carving going on out there in Rain Dad's Bushcraft Friends land? Because I don't know if maybe I'm an outlier. Maybe it wasn't really apple or something, but man, it was tough. It was a shitty experience. It was a crappy experience. I'm never using apple again based on that experience, but I don't know. Maybe there's different kinds of it or something. What do you guys think? Look at that cherry, boy. Grandpa O is going to kill me one of these days. I would love to hit the woods with that guy. Do all of you guys watch Scrambled O? Actually, where's he been lately? Tyler. You carve with decorative handles? Like axe handles with like carving on them? Anthony, you know what? I got my tools slowly. I don't know if you want to just do like big carvings or if you want to do spoon carvings or what, but like my main carving knife, which is downstairs, otherwise I'd just show it to you, is the Mora 106, I think it's called. Like, it's a straight up Mora. I don't like Mora spoon knives. I think they're utter garbage, but they're just basic carving knives are actually, for the price, extremely nice tools. So that is what I would start with and just start whittling, My dad carves. He carves in a very different style than I do. Like my dad got started with carving as an older gentleman with a big name native carver out in the West Coast. And so the style of carving that he does is very, very native influenced, just because those are the techniques that he learned, a big difference between him and I, because I do, my spoon carving is all Swedish influence because that's what it is, right? The carving books are, wow, actually Barn the Spoon's got a nice one out that I'm dying to pick up, but the Sloyd books are by Swedes. The tools are all Swedish inspired, So like when my dad and I taught carving, he carves dry wood. He doesn't carve green wood. Whereas I don't carve dry wood because I'm doing Sloyd, right? A little bit of bark left on this one. But Less designs, more text. Tyler, I would love to see pictures of what you're doing, just because I'm having a hard time figuring like commemorative slogans and stuff like that. It sounds interesting, whatever it is. I'd like to see it. So do you have pictures out anywhere? How I got into the tools for carving is it's very simple. Lee Valley. I bought the Swedish carving axe by Gransfors, which by the way is really expensive now. So I'm not saying just go out buy a $220 axe. Well, they're not that much down there. But as I said, like just that Mora 106, and I started with Mora spoon knives. I graduated up to something handmade pretty quickly after that, though. Spoon knife is where you can't really skimp. You gotta spend the money. You gotta spend what it takes, and it hurts, but you gotta do it. Because the thing is, you can carve with a Swiss Army knife, okay? Like, if you're not doing spoons, you can carve with a Swiss Army knife. You can do almost anything with one of those, you know? You can carve with anything that's sharp enough. Oh, now you're awake? I'm minding my sister-in-law's cat. Have I ever tried red cedar? I have a bowl that I carved out of cedar when I was out in BC visiting my dad. It was dry, so it was a very different... Because cedar's a nice soft wood, but dry wood, no matter how you slice it, just reacts differently to a knife than green wood does. But I love cedar, man. It's one of my favorite trees. I love the smell of it. I love how if you throw a little cedar in the fire, it almost smells like you can eat it, you know? And I love the look of red cedar. I used cedar when I built my back balcony. You know, I used cedar, not red though, because that's expensive as hell. But I do love cedar. I think it's because it reminds me of when I was, like, my old stomping grounds out in British Columbia, you know? The smell of cedar on a rainy day, just, man, that's all North Vancouver to me. And, you know, my dad used to have a place up near Lynn Canyon. You guys aren't going to know what I'm talking about, but Lynn Canyon was like 5 minutes from my dad's front door, and you're in the forest. And when I was kicking around there, it was before it got all safetied right up the wazoo, you know, fences everywhere. So, I mean, you could go right up to the edge of the canyon. But yeah, I love me some cedar. I'm just going to go empty this bin. So give me 1 second, boys. I'll freeze these in a little while. Yeah, and you can't beat the look of cedar either, you know? Okay. So I'm done all my bushcrafty things. Hey, have I ever shown you? Yes, I have. But not, I've never really showcased this. I bought this from a gent on Bushcraft USA. The guy who made the sheath, his name was Robert Jones. This, Jeff White, I think? I no, that's not the name. I don't remember. It's a mini Nesmuk. I bought this because it was like $55 US, so more than that. But anyways, because I was always intrigued by the idea of a convex grind. This is my first and so far only convex grind. Knife, obviously the axes are convex, but I did the mirror finish on it. It's because it's such a cheap knife, it didn't come all like mirrored up or anything. Tyler, so is this actually a Jeff White? Because whoever this is, all his handles look the same. All the knives are essentially the same sort of treatment. So it is Jeff White, right? You know what? He's the guy who makes the knives for James Townsend and Sons. Did you get it at James Townsend and Sons, Tyler? Yeah, that's the thing, right? The Maker's Mark is so, like, it's almost not. Well, I've got this upside down. It's almost not there. See right there where the light is glinting on it. I'm just looking them up right now, because at Townsend's.us, which used to be James Townsend and Sons, they sell his knives in like their kitchen stuff and in their camp equipment and all that stuff. So I'm just looking for axes, knives. Paring and patch knife. Let's take a look. You know, so that is his mark. Okay, it is. Yeah. Oh, yours came from Dave Canterbury. Okay. Townsend's.us. You know, I'm gonna write it in the dashboard just so you guys can take a look if you want. I'm not trying to push their stuff because this is not a paid endorsement, and I've never ordered anything from them. But here's the thing. This site is what is wrong with North American trade. Okay, and I'm not saying, you know, stop internationalism or anything. But I tried to order their catalog, okay, and like some flint or something, like tiny little things. But because they're shipping across the border, it's automatically their international first class or whatever, which is $45 US. There are many things that I would buy from this site if the shipping was not that. Especially because I, you know, for like camp cooking, you know, they've got some sort of 18th century style pans, which were like stamped steel. This, like, 18th century was before the advent of cast iron, right? Cast iron kicks in like 19th century. And the nice thing about these older pans, first of all, I love the look, but the nice thing about these older pans is they weigh a lot less than cast iron. And I'm someone who, you know, I think you kind of can't beat cast iron, but if I'm hiking with my little pack, my little day pack, I don't want to, you know, cast iron. Yeah, Tyler, I have. Also, you know, I have some cousins who, what they do, here's the thing, Montreal, I'm an hour and 15 minutes from Plattsburgh, okay? Even shorter. If I live on the other side of the river in like Chateauguay or something, it's no time. And so what some of my cousins do is there's a UPS in Plattsburgh, and they have everything shipped to that UPS, and then they go and they pick it up. So I'm going to have one of my cousins walk me through that ordering process once I'm in a position to buy something. And I'm just going to buy something and see how it works, you know? Because at the end of the day, if I'm crossing the border, yeah, I'm going to probably get, you know, if I cross the border for a half hour to go and pick something up, I'm going to get dinged on customs, but it's not going to be anything expensive enough that I'm going to really, you know, die over it. You know? But I feel that border, for my generation and the ones below, that border has become almost, I don't want to say it's almost a non-issue, because you know, if it's a big deal. But when I was growing up as a Canadian kid, I'd be reading a comic like X-Men or something, and there's always like an advert for like some special toy or something that wasn't available to me. It always sort of said at the bottom, because you'd buy these comics in Canada, you know, not available in Canada, kind of thing. And that is no longer a part of life. But now, especially recently, shipping across that border has become so expensive that it's like, first of all, what's the point of NAFTA? Because most of the stuff that this company is making is made in the States. you know? It makes no sense to me. And that's why there are so many companies setting up, drop addresses along the Canadian border, right? Have it shipped to Plattsburgh or whatever border town you can name, and then just drive across, pick it up, and drive back. Which is what I should be doing. But yeah, I just wanted to show you guys that. It's interesting that there's someone else with the Jeff White. It's funny, because they're not deluxe by any stretch, but there's a real charm to these, eh? I like this one. And this one is convex is so easy to sharpen, right? Like with my technique where I use a mouse pad, so there's a little give. It's so nice to sharpen these things. Yeah, I would spend big on fuel, but here's the thing: I would cross the border with my tank like half empty and fill up in the States, because you guys spend nothing compared to what we spend. Today I threw like $15 of gas into my car at $1.15.9 a liter. So I don't know how the hell you work that into gallons. What is it, 4 liters per gallon or something? Eric, what are you doing online, man? Isn't it supposed to be date night? What's up with that? But I'm so glad to see you. I was just talking about the agony involved with getting anything shipped across the border, and how what some of my cousins do. Oh, Tyler, another point of that is that, yeah, it would cost me in fuel to cross the border and pick something up at the UPS in Plattsburgh, but I would cross the border with a half-empty tank, fill up there because it costs so much less in the States, and then drive back and like win. But that's neither here nor there. Oh, there was a lot of stuff I wanted to talk to you guys about, and I can't remember any of it because now I'm on the spot. What I'm going to do next time is just take notes. Shut up. Do you guys hear that? That stupid cat that I'm minding? Hi. Oh, damn, you're cute. But you're still a stupid cat. Hi. What did I want to talk to you guys about? Oh, here's something that I was wondering. Some guys, how many of you guys watch Fox Company Prepping? Or did when he was putting up videos? I don't know what's up with him lately. But how many of you guys watch him? Let me go back to the live dashboard. Bacon seeds. I'm going to call them that from now on. Yeah, so how many of you guys watch Fox Company Prepping? Because one thing that he does is he does these and another guy who does this is Scouting Free. And in fact, Scouting Free is still doing them. Fox Company seems to be taking a step back for a while, but doing like panel discussions via Google Hangouts, I think it's called. Oh, you've never heard of Fox Company? I love that guy. He's always got computer problems or losing his phone or whatever, but when he still had a working computer and phone, we used to Skype almost every morning. He's a prepper, okay, which I'm not, as you guys know. I'm still a little shiny, in Edinburgh, in Scotland. But he does a lot of leather work, and he's really freaking good at it. Really good. I'll just drop. You're at 89.9 liters per liter. Oh. Long live Saskatchewan. Like literally, I spent 115.9 per liter. So I put in $15 worth, and it got me back home. Fox Company. Dude, man. Some of the stuff he says is like, okay, dude. But he's a nice guy. His heart's in the right place. He's a little rough, but his heart's in the right place. I love that dude. One thing I did want to show you guys was this. Today I was writing my second blog post, and then I ran out of time because I had this this live stream scheduled. But I've started a blog as a a companion to my vlog. You know what? My phone says that I'm streaming great. YouTube says that I'm not. How's the stream health? How are you guys seeing this? $2.04 per gallon? Oh my god. That's so cheap. Oh, now my stream health is back up to being good. Okay. So I don't know what you guys missed. I've got a really weird connection here tonight. So if I'm like book, 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 it's Videotron's fault. It's not mine. So what I was gonna say is, I was writing my second. Yeah, and it's not your fault. It's not your connection. It's mine. Sorry about that, guys. So what I was saying is, I've started a blog as a companion to my vlog. I've put up one so far. Tonight I was working on the second one when I ran out of time because I had to be on streaming. But I put the link in the chat. So check it out and drop me a line and give me suggestions and stuff, because it's WordPress, which I'm not so great with. I'm kind of a rank beginner at WordPress. But Jägerharm, that's how we pronounce it, right? Jägerheim Eric says he had a commercial appear in the middle of this broadcast. That confuses me. But I'm not going to work on that while I'm live, because I'm afraid of like I'm afraid of kicking myself off the interwebs here. So, but okay, I'll take a look at that later. Oh, maybe I've got monetization on. I don't know. Whatevs. Oh, I had so many things I wanted to talk to you guys about, and I can't remember any of it. I wanted to tell you about my blog. See if you guys can give me some suggestions about that, if you like it or not. It's like it's gonna be links, like stuff that's linked to videos I'm working on. Okay. Fair enough, Eric. All is fair when it's about barbecue, right? Another thing, I've shot a couple more videos, but I'm having a real, let's just say the learning curve on Filmic Pro is really kicking my ass. So I'm not sure how much of what I did I can really use, but I'm hoping to get some more vids up pretty soon. There were things I wanted to ask you guys about. Oh, hey, have any of you guys gone hammock camping, by the way? That's my stream health. Okay. Because I'm thinking of trying out hammock camping. I'm getting a little old, though. I don't know if my back will be able to handle it. Have any of you guys done a lot of hammock camping? I'd love to know, which hammocks you have. A jerky video. Now that is interesting. That is Google getting right up in my face, because I didn't write anything about jerky, right? It's just like Google's obviously listening to what I'm saying. Oh, here's where I get all, deep web, dark web, or whatever. I'll put on my my tinfoil hat. Yeah, Eric. And I know what your old job was, so I understand what the heat of the moment. Tyler loves hammock. What do you camp with? Really? Okay. Oh, you have the emo single nest. Yeah, those are cool looking. Because I have a hammock, but I don't want to tell you guys about it because I just got it specifically to do part of my my Canadian Connection review series. Um, but I bought a Canadian hammock. Yeah, I figured it was Um, so I'm looking forward to trying it, but like I got to get into the forest first, right? This will happen. This will happen. I find that you can really spend a lot of money fast on a hammock though. Like way more than a tent. We have a tent that we bought at Canadian Tire. Eric, you're gonna know what I'm talking about. The rest of you are probably gonna be like, shut up. But there's this place, Canadian Tire, and they've got sales all the time. It's not a tire store, by the way. I'm trying to think of an American analog to Canadian Tire. Because it's not Walmart, okay? Because it's not a discount place. And it's not LL Bean because it's I don't know. But anyways, $170 for a 6-man tent that usually costs like whatever 300 or 400 or something, more like 300. But like you can get a serviceable tent, not a elegant one, but a serviceable one for like $100 or less for multiple people. My hammock ended up costing me, I think, $215 or something, and that's just me. Oh, Tyler, yeah, like like a pad or something. In fact, some hammocks have a slot for a little pad. Oh, okay. I was like, how do you get frigid in Florida? But you're not in Florida. You're in MI. I'm getting you guys mixed up. But yeah, Quebec fall camping. I'm gonna put something under me. I have a nice wool blanket. Well, you know what's funny? I have a Canadian Forces wool blanket. Okay, gray with a black stripe up the middle. If ever you see a gray wool blanket with a black stripe up the middle, chances are that is a Canadian Forces blanket. Okay. And I'm saying chances are because there may be other armed forces that use them. Oh, there we go. My stream health is in the yellow, which means it's okay, but yours might be experiencing minor issues. So I'll keep an eye on it. And if it goes red, then I'll talk really slowly or something until it comes back to green, okay? So here's the funny thing about this blanket. When I was in the Royal Canadian Air Cadets, which for those of you in the States, that's the youth wing of our Air Force, at basic training and junior leadership school, this was our blanket, right? We would have these sort of 2 thread count sheets and then this woolen blanket, and making your bed, you'd have to tuck it in real tight so that you can bounce a quarter off the top and all this blah blah blah. We hated this blanket, Really? Oh, well, it's back to green. But you weren't experiencing any troubles there? Are you Stephen or Stefan? Connecticut. I haven't been to Connecticut. I used to have a friend from Connecticut a long, long time ago. She was pretty as they come. I don't even remember her name now. We were in university at the time. But she went back after school. Oh, yeah, so at that point, we hated these blankets, right? Stephen, okay. Steve. Okay. Because in Quebec, that name is pronounced several different ways depending on your cultural background. But now that I'm no longer in cadets, the value of a good wool blanket. I love that thing. And I love its basic training Canadian Armed Forces look. Just the ugly ass gray blanket with a black stripe up the center. Like, to me, that is the wool blanket now. If I had the money, I would rather a Hudson's Bay blanket, to be honest with you. But let's face it, that's, if you're slogging through the mud, you don't do it in high heels. And the Hudson's Bay blanket, no matter what it started out as, has become a very expensive commodity. So, ain't no Hudson's Bay blanket for Jess. But yeah, so that stupid gray blanket, man, when I walked into an army surplus and they had some for sale, and I was like, oh, that's my Bushcraft blanket. And I use it for everything. You can't beat a wool blanket, It gets wet, you're still warm. I mean, it gets heavy, and it takes forever to dry, but, the thermal properties don't get leached out of it just because it's gotten wet, So I find... I've been looking at Goodwill for it's amazing the things that people find at Goodwill. I go to the Sally Ann looking for a wool blanket all the time because you can always, because I'm at this stage now where Camille is on my ass about going camping, I want to have something. All right, Eric, enjoy date night. We'll talk tomorrow. I want to see more pictures of those pigs. Have a good one. Turkey Foot Trading? I've never even heard of that. Is that turkeyfoottrading.com? I'm going to take note. But my experience trying to order something from Townsends.us, it makes me... I'm not in the market right now, but I will be at some point again. Oh, can't find the server. Turkey Foot Trading. Turkey Foot Trading. Oh, turkeyfootllc.com. Okay. Turkey Foot Trading Company and Forge LLC, purveyors of 18th and 19th century merchandise. Are you kidding me? I'm going to get divorced because of what you just showed me. You are an evil, evil person. This is... Wait a minute. Let me check the ordering information. I'm looking for international ordering. I don't see anything about it. I love this. You can either call, write, fax, or email your order to us. It's like these people still live in the 20th century. Yeah, Stephen, you and I are living the same life. I used to have a very well-paying job, and so what I've got is, I've got some really cool stuff, right? But I'm going on 3 years now of really being underemployed, which the mortgage becomes very stressful in that kind of situation. So like I almost don't buy anything anymore, Tyler, I'm going to be poring over this site for the next God knows how long. Fire starting. Dried edibles. I would like to get more into dried edibles. Why are you meowing, man? It's not time for bed yet. Hemp fabric and rope. Tinware. Oh yeah, I think we understand each other, eh? Flash player. No. Piss off. Oh, look at this stuff. It's funny because... this site is very similar to the one I was talking about, Townsends.us. Did I put them in the... Did I put Townsends.us in the live chat? I'll do it anyway. I'll do it now anyway. Just because The way I discovered Townsend's.us is actually through YouTube. They've got a series of videos on YouTube about 18th century cooking, which I find fascinating because I like that kind of thing, you know? The recipes that I do most are like, well, some of them are actually straight up medieval. Not a lot of big flavors in medieval cooking, let me tell you. English, especially. I don't know about Italian, but I'm warning you, man. That site might bite into your bank account as well. Yeah, it's like they're both sort of in a similar market to each other. That four-sided lantern, man, I want that. Wow, this is not going to go well. Ship's lantern? Yeah, that's cool. I don't remember what I was talking about. Everything does taste better outside. You're absolutely right. What did you make that tripod out of? Like, you mean you made like a big temporary wooden one, or did you make something out of like metal? Well, yeah, I agree, man. Everything tastes better outside. I like literally, if I don't get into the forest, kind of. Yep. I need the forest just to sort of recenter myself every now and again, you know. And there's nothing. The idea of making a little fire, making myself like a simple little meal, and sitting there and eating, surrounded by nothing but trees and animals, is exciting. You know, it's very important to me. I think, you know, most of us who are doing bushcraft share that. Birch poles on your hatchet, yeah. You're going straight up Ray Mears, eh? It's in my plan for this year. I'm gonna try, because where I've usually gotten my forest time in has been up at the hunt camp, and there's a grill over the there's a grill over the fire pit, so it's like I don't get a chance to do a lot of my more bushcrafty things, you know. One thing I've been interested in trying out is getting like a squirrel cooker, you know. And okay, so why do you use bank line instead of like paracord, for instance, for that? Is it because just because it's cheaper, or is it like I've always just used paracord for everything, but a lot of people use bank line for all kinds of things, and I'm just wondering what the actual difference is. They sell braziers too, eh? These are way more affordable than the ones at Townsend's, though, because Townsend's, like, I don't know about these guys, but Townsend's, it seems like they have everything made for them, so some of their stuff is really expensive. Especially their kitchenware, which of course is the stuff that interests me the most. Bankline is tarred. I didn't know that. I feel like there's this huge. I feel like I just showed off a huge hole in my knowledge here. I'm gonna go and take a look for that. I'm gonna get some and use it. Okay, now we're about to test my metal, because I've just found the wool blanket section of turkey foot. Okay. Right, okay. So you made it out of birch logs. You said 7 feet above the fire, and you kept your fire small. So you're not having to worry about them lighting up, that's for sure. But like the reason why I would be worried about everything at Walmart's inferior, man. I get you completely. I guess the only reason why I'd be worried about birch is because of the high oil content in the bark. But I guess if it's 7 feet, wow, 7 feet, really? That's huge, man. Because you did say 7 feet above the. I'm trying to scroll here. Oh, it's not working. Forget about it. Stop. Never mind. No. Am I moving around? Because on my phone I've just moved my bad self. Yeah, because like I would be afraid of. Yeah. Yeah, because like I'm always afraid of the high oil content in the bark. Maybe. Um, wow. Okay, good. These blankets are so much cheaper than anything that I would ever find. Like when I say so much cheaper, not maybe not, because I always kind of have to add on getting it across the border. It's like Jesus, man. But like this Norwegian dark gray blanket, which I have been looking at for a long time. I don't think I've ever seen them for like $35. I think they've always been more like 50 US. Layman's.com. Oh, guys. All right, I'm checking it out. Oh, yeah. I've been here before. Layman's kind of reminds me. It kind of reminds me of like an almost a Lee Valley kind of. Like you guys know LeeValley.com, right? Um, this kind of reminds me of like Lee Valley Plus, like halfway between Lee Valley and like LL Bean or something. I've looked at a lot of stuff on this site, like years ago. Yeah. Interesting. Filson's site, yeah, same here. I just I don't even go anymore. It's the kind of thing where just you know what else does that to me is the Frost River site, because I've wanted an Ile Royale bag, probably like the junior or the mini, because I'm small. Man, I've wanted one of those for years, just years, because I love me some leather and canvas, leather and like waxed cotton, leather, all that kind of stuff. Just man, love it. But and they're even more expensive now than they used to be. It's like, yeah, me too. Okay, so the thing is, like, I don't like when I was down in New York City visiting the in-laws, the cousin-in-laws. On our way back up, we stopped off at the outlets in wherever they are. Where the hell are those outlets? But anyways, there's this huge mall of outlets in nowhere, New York State. And there was a Columbia there, and I picked up some things for filming in when I'm in the forest, like some technical gear. But that's not what I like. I'm not like a weight weenie, high tech clothing, competitive hiker. Do you know what I'm saying? When I go into the forest, I like wool. I do like high tech shoes. I wear a Merrell. But aside from that, I like wool. I like non-synthetics, even if they're a little heavier. I like a tilly hat. I don't need something that's. I like wicking. I will admit that I like stuff that wicks. Sort of from my base layers or whatever. But I see the forest as an old time. I'm putting this wrong. To me, when I'm in the forest, I'm connecting with something older than Gore-Tex. I'm connecting with something more primeval than the phone in my pocket, which I bring so that I can film and be in contact and everything. But like, I like my axe to be steel and hickory, not high-tech materials. I like merles. That for footwear. Footwear is where I sort of I go with the practical, because to me getting good leather hiking boots that would get me the same performance I think would just be really expensive. And I like my feet to breathe. I like waterproof, but I like breathability too. Prenicky style, yeah, man. If I didn't have a family, that guy's my hero. Yeah. Tyler wears a pair of moccasins. Really? I've been meaning to try mocks out. My stepfather-in-law or whatever. I don't know how you even name people in 21st century families anymore. But the missus's stepfather is he's Mohawk. But he wears nothing like he doesn't do any of the okay, this is hilarious. On my phone, I just got a notice drop down. Watch now, Rain Dance Bushcrafts, the show that what we're actually doing right now. Like, wow, that was late, YouTube. But like, he doesn't wear any of the real trad native stuff. He doesn't do any of the real trad native stuff. Like, he wears a lot of like shirts with, a wolf and a dream catcher printed on it and stuff. But like, he doesn't show his heritage in the way that we automatically assume that Mohawk dudes do, Now, the moccasins that you wear, Tyler, do they have a rubber sole, or are they like the old-fashioned ones that are just like the leather? Stephen, yeah, the thing is, like, there's a big look. I'm a mostly white guy talking about this, okay? So my knowledge about it is definitely Tyler. Yeah, I've seen a lot of them with leather, but I've always kind of been interested in the ones that are just leather. I've seen a lot of them with the rubber bottom, but I've always been interested in like a full-on leather, like the trad style. But yeah, Stephen, there's a generational thing going on. Generations of natives here were hauled away from their families and put into residential schools all across the country. And these residential schools went on right up until the 80s, some of them. And the whole thing about these schools was to rip the native out of the natives, and so a lot of people around his generation were right in there. They grew up, and by the way, these people were treated poorly. A lot of beatings, like if you were caught using a native language, you got the strap, or you got put in solitary, or like there's just all these things. They Christianized these kids. They made them white. They made them as white as they could. They weren't. When they arrived at the schools, they were immediately stripped down and given new clothes. And anyway, so it's like in the native families that I know, which isn't a lot, but I mean I do know some. there's this generational thing where there's the oldsters who still generally often, okay, not generally, that's a terrible thing to say, who still often will know the old language. And there are all these schools now of, get them into the cities, get them away from their families, rip the native out of the natives, I like to say. So, but there are all these schools popping up on the reserves now, that are teaching the old languages and the old ways and stuff. But in between, there's all these people with almost no knowledge of where they came from, and with PTSD, fairly often from getting raped or punched down by their teachers and the priests and stuff for their entire young lives. And there's there's alcoholism, there's suicides, there's blah blah blah, and and it's like bracketed by this generation of kids who are learning Mohawk in school or learning Pika language. I'm saying Mohawk because Montreal is like, we're surrounded by, there's Mohawks, there's Onondagas that way, there's Huron down there. But the language that I hear the most, like I hear it often, is Mohawk. And like, there's a guy I know who's my age. Nice guy. He's a real hard ass. Okay. He runs a tree farm and everything, but even at my age, he didn't go to a residential school, but his parents did and his grandparents did, and it fundamentally colors the way a generation or two, maybe even three, I'm not really counting back the number of years, but it really colors the way these people view the world, A lot of people deheritized when they came to North America. A lot of them were given more English-sounding last names and stuff. Yeah. It's amazing the way people hurt each other, eh? People come up with ways to hurt each other all the time. I remember the whole Rwanda thing. It was like on one end of, like, if you're sitting in the middle of Europe, up there you've got the whole Bosnia Serb disaster going on. Then you go down into Africa, and there's Rwanda imploding. It was like, oh my God. That stuff just never ends, right? Just never bloody ends. Oh, let me check. Jerry, here's the thing. Okay, Jerry, my stream should be back. I've had a couple of instances of it dropping out. I'm sorry about that. There's something up with my connection tonight. But yeah, Stephen, like a lot of Russian, Czech, a lot of that kind of stuff. Same thing. Like anytime you lose your heritage, especially down there, where when you come to America, you're supposed to become American. In Canada, generally, provided you're not native, you're expected to remain what you were before. And so there was a lot less of that going on up here. What you ended up with was a lot of ghettoization as people came and like stuck together. Even now, I'm in a neighborhood in Montreal that is heavily Russian. I take my kid to the park, and the kids who aren't speaking to each other in Mandarin are speaking together in, well, there's a lot of Russians and there's a lot of Ukrainians, and I know that they don't. No, there's not a lot of assimilation. It's not expected. We grew up with the idea of like what we call the Canadian mosaic, which was, some would say, was instituted specifically as a reaction against the melting pot. I don't know. But anyway, so when we're playing at the park, there's a lot of little kids speaking to each other in Russian and Ukrainian. I know that both of those communities are in my neighborhood. I'm just not good enough to tell the difference between the two. How the hell did we get on this? We were talking about bushcrafty stuff. I was showing you guys my cherry wood and my axes. What the hell? But anyways, um, so yeah, guys, check out the vlog, the blog, sorry, that I put the link to earlier. I was going to put it on this broadcast as a card, but I have to get the site verified before YouTube will let me do that. And because it's based on WordPress, all the ways that YouTube is telling me to verify don't seem to work. So I just dropped it into the live chat earlier. Because I'm going to, like, right now I've got one blog post up. I got one almost finished. I'm going to try to keep it alive sort of as a companion to the video series. Like where I can talk more about like philosophies and stuff, I guess, of bushcrafting. And I don't know, I think I'm out of stuff to talk about. I just wanted to see if maybe this live chat, if people had actually seen the have I tried the grants for Scandinavian forest axe? No, I've got 2 of the Wetterlings ones, but I haven't tried the grants for this one. I'm interested in that, even though they're the same length as the Wetterlings. Tyler, that's an interesting question, and we'll talk about that in a second because that can become a very large conversation. Stephen, yeah, the reason why I would like to try the Gransfors, even though I've got the Wetterlings, they're about the same length, right? They're essentially the same design, but across the board, practically, Wetterlings has a much, like if you hold the axe, I'll just take my little guy because this is a granite countertop, and if I ding it with an axe, I'm going to be very, very heavily censured. You know what? I'm going to go get my Wetterlings Swedish forest axe. Just give me 1 second here, folks. I'll be right back. I love the length. But even though they're both around the same length, what interests me in is, see how wedge-like that profile is, right? It doesn't have that like really swoopy, narrow Gransfors profile, right? Like so, this would be a much better splitter than my Gransfors small forest axe would be, right? Right? See the difference? Like if you're chopping, this will cut way deeper, but that Wetterlings will split a lot better. And what I would like to know is the difference in feel between the two, because they're both aimed at the exact same class of work. I'm enchanted at the concept of one day having the Gransfors as well, even just for a video, just to see how different 2 axes that are so similar can feel. Like to see if the theories that I've come up with about the Wetterlings being better at splitting than the Gransfors, and the Gransfors being better at blah blah blah, just to see how much of that is actually borne out by my experience, you know. So yeah, I would love to try that Gransfors, but man, they're expensive. It's like a lot of the stuff that used to be merely expensive has become extortionate just in the past couple of years. I buy my Gransfors at Lee Valley generally because their prices are very their prices are very reasonable. Hold on, I just went into low power mode on my phone. I think we might have to. There, plugged in. I think we're okay. Let me take a look for the Gransfors at Lee Valley right now. The Swedish forest axe. Gransfors calls it a Scandinavian forest axe, right? Swedish carving, large splitting, small forest, mini. Where is it? Forest axe. Actually, it's not bad. $170, $169. So it's actually it's not that bad. I was expecting it to be much higher because the small forest axe is $159. So it's weird that there's only a $10 difference, and it's because I'm going with the Swedish carving axe right now is $229 at Lee Valley, whereas when I got mine, it wasn't that long ago. It was $189. You know. But yeah, so at some point, when my work situation gets better, I think I'm gonna buy that forest axe just so that I can see what the difference is. It's a lot of money just to see what the difference is, especially since I've got two of the Wetterling's Scandinavian forest axes. But it's a nice length. But you know what I would really like to get is the American felling, which that's a marketing thing, because those American felling axes should be called North American felling axes, because they were pretty much the same thing across the whole continent. But yeah, that size really excites me. I want to try one of those out. Here's the thing: I have no use for that. I'm not a homesteader. It's way too big for backpacking with. I've got a thing for axes. I want to try them all. You know, I want to spend some time with one of those, hack down a tree with it. I would love a good broad axe. I have this project in mind. You guys have seen my god-awful garage on several videos now. My eventual aim, once I win the lottery, is to knock out one of the walls and hew 3 beams and put them up as a support, and then just put like a wooden wall on that side with windows and a door, just to get some more air, airflow, because they'll be opening windows and blah blah blah. But I want to hew those beams. So in the summers I go to all the flea markets and look for a big broad axe, like a hewing axe, the one-sided bevel. But man, it's like I said in my Draw Knives video, everyone knows what they got now because YouTube makes it easy to know what you got, right? Because all these guys are the guys that these YouTube videos would appeal to, right? Because they're all in the scene, Yeah, so Stephen, you and I, we're both hunting for a good hewing axe at the flea markets. And what I hate seeing is a stall full of axes that have already been restored. For 2 reasons. First of all, they're expensive as shit. And second of all, I want to do the restore on my own. That's part of the fun of these old axes, Wrangler Star Curse, you are so right. You're so right. And I hate thinking of it that way because I love that guy. But, have you ever noticed, as soon as he mentions something, the price on Amazon, well, first of all, they disappear, but it can have a detrimental effect on the price of things on Amazon. I'm sorry, I'm just sort of trying to catch up. Tyler, I think there's space for anyone in the market for stuff. Because let's face it, a lot of bushcrafters are geeks about gear, right? How many of you guys are on Bushcraft USA? I haven't been there in years, but I'm signed up. I'm a member there. But how many of you guys are there? Because one thing you'll notice is that there are people with dozens of bushcraft knives. There are people with dozens of axes. Yeah, the more chisel knife. I know. As soon as I saw it on his video, I'm like, wow, I need one of those. But okay, you're really on. Okay, because like what you guys will notice is that there are people who collect gear, more gear than they'll ever use, and of course the people who make bushcraft gear want it used more than they want it collected. But the fact is, there are people who just keep buying gear, you know? And I have a history of being a consumer whore, so I know what I'm talking about here, you know? For me, I tend to move stuff on if I'm not using it because I very specifically don't want to be a collector. But all that to say that, you know, if you're thinking of creating handmade items, if you can make them unique in any way, or you can just, if you get a hook, you're going to sell, you know? Paul's here. Hey, man. You're 3 hours behind me, right? Yeah. Uh-oh, what did you buy? Paul, what did you buy? If I could afford to, I'd be a compulsive buyer too, I think. I have those tendencies. I'm looking for something around here that might have been... Like even this little guy here, you could call that just a... Yeah, Tyler, what do you... what kind of stuff are you making? I'm wondering how long is the buffer, because what's playing back on my screen is like stuff I was talking about 5 or 10 minutes ago. Paul. Tyler, really? Interesting, especially a jumper. Really? How come mine is so far behind me? Because what I'm getting on my computer right here is way behind. Anyways, I'm not going to worry about it. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah, so... Paul, where did you find... I was just talking about this before. There was a site that I put down here, Townsends.us. They got a lot of stuff that I would love to acquire, but their shipping right across the border is $45 US because it's their international first class or whatever, and that's the only option they have. So, where did you order from that was a flat rate $14 Canadian shipping? Oh, you said it was Europe, eh? I find that the situation in Europe is much different. Weird. Veriselecta.com. I probably don't want to know this place. Interesting. I didn't even finish that first word and it popped up on Google. Tyler, I would also really like to see what you're doing. Even, you know. I'm looking at maybe getting a P.O. box in the U.S. or, as I said, just using the UPS in Plattsburgh to have stuff shipped to. That's probably what I'll do because it's like you get charged per item or something, $5 a day or something ridiculous like that I can deal with because I just drive down. You know, so it's the kind of thing that if I ever get time, I'm going to work out. Yes, I'm very close to the border. I'm an hour and 15 minutes from Plattsburgh. No, I'm an hour and 15 minutes from Plattsburgh if the border goes well. If the border doesn't go well, I'm 3 hours from Plattsburgh. That's just the way it is at the border. Oops. Oh, Paul, I'm gonna check out this site, and then it's gonna military and outdoor specialists. Have any of you guys checked out virustoleka.com? Oh, Paul, that's a good point. Yeah. Sorry, I just got a texto from the wifeling. Okay, guys, I'm gonna put a link in the chat just for curiosity's sake. Really? $10 a year? That's definitely doable. Yeah, Stephen, I'm enjoying this too. I'm gonna get off in about 6 minutes though. It's that I can talk to the wife and girl. For those of you who don't know, they're across the line in New York City right now. They've been gone for 4 days, so we chat every night to. Yeah, you know, a nice cross cut would be nice, but I don't have anything to use it on. Oh, are you going to bed? All right. Have a good night, mister. Speak to you soon. I don't know how often I can do these, but I'm hoping to do more of them. Paul, I'm going to look into this a lot more. Because I knew that it needed to be a freight forwarder to keep you from getting bitten, but yeah, chill, man. See you soon. I'm just sort of taking a look here. Wow, this is a legit military surplus, eh? I love old tools. I can't believe that you. Yeah. All right. So let's call it a night then, since some guys are getting a little tired. But I'm gonna try to do this again soon. I don't know how often, but soon. And if I do decide to start putting together panel discussions via Google Hangouts, would anyone be interested in coming on and chatting on camera? Not necessarily for the channel. I mean, we might not even leave it up. It just like what Scouting Free does. Do you guys know Scouting Free? Paul, so you got a notice too. Okay, good, because I wasn't sure. I didn't get a notice, and Eric in Saskatchewan, he didn't get a notice, but some of the other guys did, so I'm good. Good. So I'm going to get off. I'm going to talk to my girls. Then I'm going to check all these websites that you guys have shown me. And I'll buy a lottery ticket, and then I'll buy a bunch of things. But for now, Paul, really? I didn't know you didn't have... Well, doing the panel discussions doesn't mean I won't do live streams anymore. So it's not that big a deal, I guess, in your case. But interesting. I'm just using my phone. I'm not using... This is not connected to my computer at all, by the way. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna have to do. Put the visa in the freezer in a bucket of water. He says, "Yep, yeah." All right, let's call it a night. Thanks a lot for hanging out with me, guys. I'll speak to you guys soon. And since scheduling it beforehand was an absolute success, then that's what we're gonna do. Uh, 9 p.m. my time, was that a good time for everyone, or should I adjust it a little bit? Cool. All right. See you guys later.